This is the most gentle, sweet thing that you can ever do to yourself. Yeah, we all do. Uh-huh. And the other kinds of yoga, like where we move more, they also play with the meridian system. Like we change our energy body up with movement. We stimulate and then we charge the energy and we discharge the energy. So we're going to be really slow and really gentle today. So actually, on that note, we can all just lay down onto our backs. Yes. Do I practice here? Oh, yeah. I sometimes come to classes here and sometimes I roll my mat out by myself. And every once in a while, when nobody's here, I come in because I have the keys and I can practice here too. You know, like if I feel like I can't do it at home because there's too much going on, like I can just sneak away. Okay, I'm going to shut the door. So it is time. Okay. So as you lay down onto the floor, start to notice the stillness of the mat beneath you. See if you can match it. Like, can you be like the energy of Mother Earth? She is still and strong and sturdy. She is generous and capable. What I've learned over the years is that she can take anything that we need to give her. And there's this beautiful exchange of energy that happens all the time between people and even between us and nature. Like in order for us to breathe in, the trees breathe out. And when we breathe out, we provide what they need to breathe in. And so everything is in relationship. And there's a give and take. And so right now in this moment, what can you give up? And what can you allow her to take? I think sometimes we're mistaken into thinking that we have to hold it all. And we're not meant to. We have input all the time from all different aspects of our lives. And it's okay to discharge and let go. And you can trust the intelligence of the body, the intelligence of the mind, even just every cell of your being, to know what no longer serves you and to kind of hold what's good. So as you soften and as your willingness rises to do the letting go, you don't have to worry about filtering it. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to go to months of therapy about it. You can trust. Yeah, right? It's funny. You can trust the somatic experience of the yoga and just allow the poses and the movement and the breath to actually work its magic. For those of you that have been practicing with me for a while, you know it's hard to explain, but you know that that combination of breath and movement has an alchemy that allows us to transform things. Metal into gold, tension into freedom, anger into patience, grief into love. Start to notice your breath. And maybe you just start to watch how the breath is moving in and out. And maybe you start to enhance the way the breath moves. Maybe you give yourself a little bit more space to breathe. You're a three-dimensional being, you're not just a flat paper doll. So the breath doesn't just rise and fall in the chest, and that's where most of us breathe most of the time. So what if you started to see the breath moving a little bit lower and a little bit higher? It's okay to soften. And when I talk about 3 dimensions, it's not just up and down. That's one dimension. What about left to right? Could you start to feel the breath pushing into the chest wall and maybe in the bottom of the rib cage? So the breath widens. My favorite part of that 3-dimensional breath is when we can tap into the front to back. And we start to allow the breathing to move into the back ribs. Yeah. And at first, sometimes we're trying to make those movements happen. But then over time, you realize it's much more about allowing that movement to happen. And there's a process to letting go of tension. And there's a process to softening and releasing the armor that we all have worked so hard to fit into. And that armor has a purpose. It's very protective, but it's also limiting. And so for these 75 minutes, I'm asking you to trust me, to trust the space, to trust the community, the music, the movements, and maybe just to let some of the armor go. Start to feel the weight of your arms and the weight of your legs. And metaphorically, by letting down, you're giving the weight of yourself and the weight of the world to the mat beneath you. Some of you have heard the story before, but the first yoga retreat that I did in Tuscany, we had all brought mats with us. And when we got to our last stop and we did our last practice, we were at a farm that belonged to a friend of mine, and he hosted yoga there regularly. And I suggested that instead of continuing to carry our mats, that we donate, if we wanted to, just to donate and leave our mats behind at the farm so that there would be mats for other travelers as they came through. And the mat that I had with me was my favorite. It was dark purple, and it was filled with laughter and tears and years of shedding. And I was the one that suggested the letting go, right? So I roll my mat up and I go to put it on the pile. And as soon as my hands left the mat and I turned to walk away, I cried like a baby. Like literally out loud, ugly cry. And I realized how much work I had done. And that in letting go, I was releasing and no longer carrying any of that with me. And I've had many mats since. Never have I had that kind of attachment. But that mat beneath us, it's symbolic for a sacred space. It becomes our healing space. And it's because we begin to trust it and we begin to let go and we unburden ourselves of the things that we carry unnecessarily. Let's go ahead and take a long, slow, deep breath in. Try to feel all the dimensions. Let it out through your mouth like a little sigh. And bend your knees, put the soles of your feet onto the mat. Put your hands on your heart. It's 11:11. It's a sacred moment. Just make a wish. Maybe just for yourself, for someone else. A little gift of goodness in the world, a little energy shared, amplified. And then take your hands off your body, up and over your head. Let them come to rest on the floor. Elbows are soft, fingers are soft. And then put the soles of your feet together and let your knees drop open. Within the first few moments of being in this pose, you know if your body's agreeable or not. If any part of it, your shoulders or your hips, feel naggy or aggravated, let's use props to support the limbs. In no way do we want to aggravate the joint capsules. We want to apply a little bit of pressure over a long period of time and see if we can effect a really beautiful and subtle change. Come back to that three-dimensional breath and see if you can make it happen, maybe just a little bit more. Up and down, left to right, front to back. And remember that it's an allowing rather than a doing. And the magic happens one breath at a time. For those of you that are in the teacher training right now, you hear me refer to myself often as a witch, right? And it's because of the alchemy that happens in the practice. But I am a witch who uses her powers for good. And magic is simply defined as shifting energy at will. And I think that is what each and every one of us does when we come in this room. We are shifting our energy at will. Or maybe we are witches and warlocks or magicians. Or maybe we're just human beings who want to be a little bit more connected to the intelligence of the body and the alchemy and the magic that happens when we take care of ourselves. And the only thing that yoga is asking of you is that you pay attention. That's what would make this practice yoga. It's not the poses, and it's not the breath. It's the moment you start to pay attention to the two, and you watch how they work together. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. Give them your full, undivided attention. And then remember that when we come out of the poses, there's a residue that is left from the work, from the breaking of the fascia, from the tension on the ligaments and the tendons. And so we have to trust ourselves, and we have to move gently and slowly. And so we'll test the waters first. Just bring the arms down, and you'll notice the shoulders. There's like a dull something, right? And just let that pass. Let them rest on the ground and breathe through it. The muscles move with you, but the connective tissue is always a little bit of a step behind. And I think it's really nice if we are slow enough to bear witness to that experience. And I know you're ready to close up the legs, so let's do that slowly and gently. Allow for the residue. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. See if you can feel deep into the depth of the hip socket. Yeah. This alchemy, right? Let's take a clearing breath, a big inhale, one that makes you fill up even more, and then open your mouth and let it out with a sigh, a sound. Yeah. And then please let your legs straight down the mat. And so sometimes we move from pose to pose, and some days I feel like I want you to live in the spaces in between. Feels like today's one of those days. And so we're not going to rush to the next thing. We're going to abide in the spaces in between. Each pose has an effect. And what a shame it would be if we didn't get to notice. Go ahead and take one more deep breath here. A little sigh, a little expression, and then both knees into the belly, please. And even that feels interesting. And so we squeeze it in, and we sort of let the tissue respond to the shape, and we pay attention. You can rock a little side to side. There's no reason why we couldn't just move organically here or be still. Just the suggestion of movement doesn't mean you have to move, right? Just listen to your intuition. Intuition is about relationship. I think that we would all agree that there's sometimes more than one voice inside of us, yeah? Do we have many? Not too many that we need medication or help, but right? Like sometimes we have more than one, yeah? Yeah? Yeah. And so we have to start to be discerning. We have to start to pay attention and see which one is the voice of truth. Because we have archetypes that live in us. We have the witness, we have the judge, right? Let's go ahead and take our legs over to the right. Yeah, so our legs, our hips, they go over to the right side, and then start to notice how you can broaden and open the chest. We can keep our right hand on the belly so we can keep monitoring the quality of the breath. But if you would, reach out with your left arm. Try not to hit your neighbor. And if you do, just apologize in advance. I make a blanket apology for the room. Like if you touch somebody or you get in their space, you didn't mean it. And we're all forgiving. Holding hands is beautiful too. Yeah. And then our head turns to the left so that the cervical spine continues that rotation from the vertebra at the bottom all the way through the middle and up to the top. And then I want you to soften any energy that you might have of squeezing the legs together. We do not want to squeeze the legs. We want to let the hip and the pelvis be gentle. And just the same as above, so below, you need to soften the jaw. The upper and lower jaw can separate. The root of the tongue can soften. And if you get really good at softening that area, even all the canals and the tubes in the ears, the nose, and the throat can soften. The less tension we have there, the more freely we can express ourselves, and the more easily the breath can flow. So give yourself a moment or two with that. Now I want you to feel both of your elbows gently push into the floor, and I want you to turn your chest a little bit more to the left. Yeah, there's that little bit of the thoracic spine that doesn't always get twisted well. It's the hardest part to get to move because the neck and the lower back are usually the loosest in terms of the vertebrae, not the muscle. Sometimes our lower backs are tight because we're protecting vulnerabilities in the bones. But the middle has all the ribs attached, and it's typically the least flexible part. So that little extra adjustment could make all the difference in creating congruency all throughout that spinal twist. Now let that three-dimensional breath start to play in all the spaces. Now I'd like you to draw some of your attention to your left leg. That's your top leg. I want you to pull that one a little bit toward you, just a little bit, just so you're aware of that one and where it's placed. And then really gently start to slide the right one, the bottom one, all the way straight down the mat. So you're going to keep the left one toward you. You're in the spinal twist. We're just changing up a little bit of the positioning in the pelvis. Can you feel that? A little difference in the spine. And then take a moment to get used to that new positioning. Every time we change position, we have the ability to create that little bit of pressure over a long period of time to affect really gentle changes. See if you can bring your awareness closer to the bones. The work of the muscles is not so important here. And actually, if you actually could imagine, could you actually let the muscles melt away from the bones as you hold your poses? That's not so easy. That is the letting go that I speak of. Softening the hardened attachments. That gripping of muscle to bone is like the tension that we hold. And sometimes we do it unknowingly. So some parts of your body will soften and melt easily. Other ones hold on a little bit tighter. So maybe if you get lucky, maybe one of the poses today may reveal to you one of the places that you hold. And sometimes we're so used to it, we don't even know we do it. Yeah, sometimes it's a glute. Sometimes it's part of the abdominal wall. For me, it's under my right armpit in the chest wall. I push my arm up into my rib cage and I shift my ribs a slight, tiny bit to the left. And when I do that, it's usually followed by a grip in the jaw. And so this practice has taught me that that happens, and then I can catch myself doing it and I can start the undoing. Sometimes we grip in the scalp, in the back, in the toes, in the groins. I don't know where your spot is, but I hope that you find it. Because that's the beginning of the healing. Now we're going to keep the right leg straight, and we're going to keep the left one bent. We're going to start to roll onto our back, and then put the sole of the left foot inside the right, like inner knee or inner thigh, and let the left leg fall open. Yeah. There you go. And there's a couple of options with your arms. Your hands can be resting on your body. They could be up over your head, or they could be resting out on the floor. So you decide. We call this fallen tree pose. And it is pretty simple. Just allow it. Allow it to work its magic. Your left leg has been in this position before, but it feels different when both legs are doing it than when one leg is doing it. So see if you can just notice the subtle shift or change. And then come back to that three-dimensional breath. And of course, you can use props. If you don't have props or you don't know how to use them, you just raise your hand and I will come to you. Breathing in, breathing out, letting go. We're just going to spend one more minute here. So if your hands are on your body or if you took them up overhead, let's bring the arms down by our sides, palms facing up. And then carefully and gently pull the left knee back up to center and slide that left leg straight down the mat. You might feel something. Yeah. Let's not shove it down. Let's not try to amplify it, but just see if you can learn how to abide in it. It's like the passing of time. We so rarely get to experience the work that happens in the systems of the body all day long. Digestion, absorption, detoxification, oxygenation, filtration. It's all happening all the time, processing. And we just miss it. So let us just be still. Let us abide in the spaces in between, not racing to the other side, even though we know it's coming and we could get right on it. I'll leave that energy for outside this room, so we all always know what's next and we can get on it. How does it feel to just pause and give yourself a chance to just meet yourself right where you are? I think that has more value than any pose we could do. And then slowly, and whenever you're ready, we'll draw the knees to the belly. And again, it's like a yogi's choice moment. Do you want to be in the stillness? Do you just want to squeeze and hug in tight? Do you want to rock? Do you want to move? I have no agenda here, except to give you a moment to reconnect with your body and do what you intuitively know you need. And the only way you know is by feeling it and by listening to that intuition. I trust your intuition. I hope that you do. And the way we build that intuition is by seeing what happens when we listen to it, and then also watching what happens when we don't. How many times in life have you knew something, right? And you do something anyway, and then you go, I knew it. Damn it, I knew it. Right? And the more we listen to that voice, the stronger it gets. When you're ready, we'll take our twist to the left. Make sure you clear your props so you have space to let the legs and the hips go all the way around to the left side. There's no squeezing or forcing or pushing in the legs. And the lower part of the spine starts to rotate around to the left side, and then we open our right arm, turn and gaze out to the right side. And we're going to push a little bit into those elbows. Turn the chest a little bit to the right side. And as above, so below. So if there's any clenching or gripping in the pelvic floor, the groins, the hips, the spine, or in the jaw, the ears, nose, throat, see if you can soften them up. I like left hand on the body to stay connected to the breath. And right arm open. So on this particular track, for you guys at home, the music got a little bit louder. I tried to adjust it. Is it okay now? Okay. Just want to make sure I'm taking care of you too. Three-dimensional breath. Awareness of any patterning, any gripping or holding. And so I think you remember on the first side that we sort of made connection with our right leg. That's the top leg. And I'm going to just pull that up a little closer. So you just keep that one where it is. And then start to figure out with your brain where the left one is. And start sliding it down the mat. And you stay in the twist. So our hips are still turned to the left. The right leg is still over. Yeah. And then we're just going to give that a little bit of time. Make sure that the adjustments of the pose didn't make you tense up or go back to your patterning. And that right leg is over to the left side and the right arm is still out. So it still feels like spinal twist. Yeah, there you go. And we look to the right. Yeah, now soften. Sometimes we don't even realize how much we hold.
I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. 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 I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. I am light. I am light.
Let's go ahead and take a nice, long, slow, deep breath in. And a little clearing breath out. And we're going to keep that left leg straight. So make sure it's straight down the mat. And then we're going to slowly roll out of the twist into fallen tree so that right leg stays bent. The sole of your foot will find the inside of your left leg. And please let that right leg fall open. And just let your arms go where they want to be. They can be up overhead, down by your sides, or resting on your body. Let things be open. Again, opportunity to surrender and let go.
Divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
Three-dimensional breathing. Muscles falling away from bones. A real remembering that most of our healing happens in a state of deep relaxation. Let's take that clearing breath one more time, flushing it through nice and deep. Open mouth, sigh it out. And then we'll bring our arms down by our sides. Slowly and mindfully guide the right knee back up to center. You'll feel that. And then slide the right one down to meet the left one. And give yourself space to feel that too. It's subtle. Somebody looking into the studio would have no idea what was going on inside of you right now, but it's magic. Take a moment in those little spaces in between. the transitionary moments of life. We move from one thing to the next. We actually get a chance to remember who we are. Now, I need you to take a moment and think about this. Our next move is going to be a flip over onto the belly. I want you to do it with the least amount of effort, the least amount of movement, right? So you don't waste a lot of energy. You just basically kind of have to turn yourself over, and you do it in your sleep all the time without waking up and without disturbing yourself, right? So it is possible to kind of just roll over. I doubt you sit up in the middle of the night to turn over, right? So just kind of let yourself turn over. Lay on the belly for a moment. Make a pillow with your hands. And just notice how different the breath feels here. And again, it's just one of those spaces in between. Now we're going to take the left leg. We're going to bend the knee and pull it out to the side. So it's not a foot in the air move, it's a knee side move. So the knee bends up even with the hip. Imagine pulling your knee up even with your hip. So the leg kind of is out on the side. And you might notice that your right hip, that's your left hip, that your left hip is kind of jutting up in the air. So maybe you move the knee a little bit out further wide, not the foot, but the knee can go a little wider. So the inner thigh can be a little closer to the ground. Is it hurting your knee on the floor? Okay, good. That's where I want it. Yes. Yeah, and then try to relax from here. See if you can get your breath to move around your kidneys, like below your rib cage, but above your hips. I don't want that in the air. All right, one more breath. Let out that little sound. Okay. And we're going to prop up on our elbows and just look toward the back of the room. So not on the hands, but on the elbows and the forearms. And try to keep them about the same width as your shoulders. And then play a game with me, like what happens if you move the elbows closer to your ribs? Ooh, back bend gets more severe, yeah? What happens if you walk the elbows forward? It drops more into thoracic spine, right? So bring them a little narrower, yeah, but they could be further away, just not wider, right? We need the upper arm bone, that humerus, to support that whole upper structure of the shoulder, girdle, the head, and the neck. Now, lift your head a little higher. Breathe in. See if you can get the neck to come out of the shoulders. And then let the neck shrink back into the shoulders. Yeah, do it again. Inhale, lifting through the crown like a turtle coming out of the shell. And then shrink back in. We're going to just do it one more time, just softening the traps. Right? There we go. And now keeping that, push down into the elbows, keep the neck long, and simply drop your chin to your chest. Oh, did you find anything in there? Yeah. All right. right? So just kind of let it be there for a moment. And we're still pushing into the elbows so that there's no collapse. And then the head starts to rise back up. There we go. Now, the right leg is the straight one behind you. Can you bend that one and put it in the air? Yeah, did that change anything? Okay. We're going to stay there for a moment and know that at any point you could widen your elbows and lay your head down. So if your head, neck, or shoulders are saying F you right now, right? We don't really want that energy in our bodies in this moment, right? So you just say, okay, I hear you. And that's kind of how sensation works. Sensation is loaded with information, and it's our job to be fluent in the language of sensation. So we actually know when we're hungry and not bored. You know, when something is hurting us and we need to adjust, right? We learn to listen. And feel free to circle the ankle, wiggle the toes. If there's some snap, crackle, pops in there, it's really nice to have the foot up. And then just let the right foot find stillness. See if you can feel the muscles softening away from the bones. Three-dimensional breath. Now that right leg that's in the air, lean it to the right. Just feel what happens there. Take a couple of breaths. And then same idea, but lean that right foot over to the left. Yeah, just repositioning that femur, right? Internally or externally rotating the right leg while you're working on the left hip. It's all connected. Remember, it's shifting energy at will. Did the pose unconsciously shift your energy in a different direction? And can you come back? And back to the letting go. Then that right leg is going to recenter and go ahead, lay it back down on the mat. With that putting down, take a clearing breath. One deep breath in, open mouth sound. Yeah. And then let's all open our elbows wide and lay our heads down. Open the elbows wide. Like so the hands could make a pillow for your head. And if you can, turn your head to the right. So you're looking away from the knee that's sticking out. And we're just going to stay there for a few breaths. There is a very mild twist going on in the spine. Use your breath to help the muscles fall away from the bones or to reveal to you where the habitual patterns of gripping are. Now, as you inhale, lift your head. As you exhale, gently turn it to the other side. Just release any tension from the neck or the jaw. And begin sliding that left knee back into place. You can say it, just say it out loud. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And then just wag your tail really like a happy dog. Think about your tailbone. And just a little wag, just make sure everything is okay, and then try to find stillness. And we'll abide in the space in between for just a moment. Three-dimensional breath. A conscious ungripping. Just trusting the process. Okay. So that whole thing starts with a right knee pulling out to the side. So the right knee pulls out to the side. It's a little bit wide. The foot even comes out a little bit. So it's similar to fallen tree, but the foot's a little wider and you're face down instead of face up. So it feels different, doesn't it? Yeah. And at first that right hip might be sticking up in the air. So see if you can take the right knee a little wider and get the inner thigh to drop down. Yeah, and then kind of check in with the straight leg. Make sure it's like straight behind you. Yeah. You're welcome. And so again, just patiently giving your body time to feel it, to adjust and to let go. And then the way we started on the first side was just to get up on the elbows. Right? So it started on the forearms, and we want to make sure the elbows are under the shoulders. So it's not wide that we do. We actually do kind of narrow here, but you could go closer to you or further away from you, but not any wider than your own shoulders. And then once you find a place that you can kind of stay in, we start to lift up through the crown, lengthen through the neck, and then shrink and shrug the shoulders up to the ears. So it's not a head forward action. The head stays up the whole time, but we literally disappear the neck into the shoulders, right? And then we come back up. So it's like we come up and then we shrug again. It's like going, I don't know, right? That's what it feels like, right? Right? Think about that. Like say it out loud. Like when you go shrug in, go, I don't know, right? It makes sense now, right? Yeah, so do a couple times like that. Yeah. Yeah. Bring your elbows back a little bit. And this could slide down a little. Yeah, I feel like this was too high, which is why you couldn't come up. Yeah. There you go. And then we'll hold ourselves up. Head up, elbows pushing down. So lots of structure. You can feel like you're holding your frame. And then we simply drop the chin to the chest. And oh, there's the back of the neck. We don't want to be shrugging when we do this. We want there to be a widening of the collarbones, a widening of the shoulder blades, some structure. And so we get some traction for the neck here. Soften your jaw, soften your eyes. The chin is to the chest, and we let go, we let down. And on the next inhale, the head rises back up. I'm going to hold it up there for just a few moments. Soften the jaw. If you're clenching your glutes or your pelvic floor, soften as above, so below, right? At any time, if your body's telling you to lay down, you can listen. In the meantime, the left leg is going to bend, so that foot goes in the air. And there's subtle changes that happen there. And I'd say first we just maybe wiggle the toes, circle the ankle in both directions. Ooh, hear all that? Yeah. Let's get that out first. It's so good to love your feet. And then if you remember from the other side, that left leg is going to lean left. And we rotate the femur. And what we do to the left side affects the right side, and you can feel it. Check in, make sure you're pressing down through the elbows, lifting through the crown so that there's no collapse here. That's it. And just like we can lean it out to the left, we can also lean it to the right. Mm-hmm. Let's all take a clearing breath here. A big inhale. And then just recenter that right foot and let it come back down to rest on the mat. And we'll slowly widen the elbows and lay our heads down. And we'll stay there for a moment. Back into the softness. See if we can notice what's been exposed. So that left leg is back on the ground. Go ahead and put it down. Yeah, and we'll just pause there for a moment. We've got less than a minute to go here, and we're just going to breathe. Let's make sure we have our head turned to the left. So we turn away from the knee. And we do our best to settle here. Soften where you can. And then we'll inhale and lift our heads. As you exhale, turn them toward the bent knee. Yeah. And then we're going to really slowly and gently slide that leg back into place. And you can just say it, whatever it is. Yeah. Release it. Don't hold the tension. Yeah, just again, abiding in the spaces in between. And there's a good chance there's probably like a heaviness right now. Go ahead and wag your tail a little bit. That sometimes lightens the things up. Yeah. And then again, I want you to think about it for a moment. We are going to flip ourselves back over. So see if you can do it with the least amount of effort. Like if you were sleeping and you didn't wake yourself up. And when you get on your back, you just pull your knees into your belly. I bet some of you do sit up in the nighttime. If you sit up and you do it carefully, you don't mess up the blankets. I know, I'm so crazy. When I get out of bed in the morning, it's like already made. It's like right, so our knees are in, and this again is one of those moments where you listen, not to me, but to you. And you do what you need to do here. Now I'd like you to place your feet back on the mat, but take your legs wide. Feel the edges of the mat with your feet. And then let both knees go to the right, just really softly. They just kind of like fall over to the right. Let them go all the way. Yeah, don't hold back. And then smoothly and slowly up and over to the other side, kind of like windshield wipers on pause, right? On delay, and you set them on delay and they kind of sweep across and then they pause for a second. And so keep doing that from side to side. Just kind of sweep across the windshield and then just let them pause on the side. And after a few rounds back and forth, you can actually come into the center and release into your final resting pose. Do you want me to take one of those trays? Lisa and I are going to come around with a nice cool cloth infused with frankincense. Yeah, so if you hear us kind of like walking through the room, we're just delivering, delivering love. There you go. And it's really nice to inhale the frankincense. It's really nice on your skin. When we come into Shavasana, it is our sacred rest. It's stillness.
All we need. All feel the moment, seize the day, living into the words you say.
Where can you soften? Where can you let down?
Let love in and breathe.
What patterns have already begun to untangle themselves?
I am beautiful. I am alive. I am beautiful.
Soften your lips, your jaw, your airway.
I am beautiful. I am love. I am beautiful. I am love, love, love. Oh. I am love. I am love. I am love. I am love.
So we start to bring our awareness back into the space. Maybe we become witness to the breath. And the breath begins to enliven our bodies and awaken our minds. So all of the parts, all of the complexities that make you uniquely you, they all start to awaken and come back together. And so it's not just our body that sits up, but all of us, right? So when you feel complete and whole, you come on up and sit. Yeah. So how are we at home? You guys okay? Yeah. Thumbs up, nods. Everybody in here, we okay? Yeah. You're smiling. Your faces and eyes are soft. It's a good sign. See, I know what I'm doing in the community has value because now I send you out like this out there. And the real power in that would be if you held on to it. If you kept your heart soft and your eyes soft, your attitude soft. If somebody really wants to get ahead of you in their car, just let them pass, you know? If you happen to be going to the mall, hold the door for the person behind you. Don't let it slam in their face, you know? And just let the yoga ripple off the mat into the world a little bit. What a shame it would be if we just worked 75 minutes to create this and we just tossed it in the trash can right outside the door and got in the car and drove away. Right? I mean, it's nice to have it for a little bit, but I think it's even better to savor it because then you know it has value, right? So let's sit up in it. Let's sit up to it, lift the heart, lift the head, even lift the corners of your lips. I know that's corny, but it works. And then put your hands together at your heart and we'll create the beautiful and sacred sound of Om. So breathe in with me. Om. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace, perfect peace. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. May the actions of my life and all of our lives somehow contribute to that happiness and that freedom for all, so that we may all know a day, we may contribute to a day where all sentient beings can walk this earth knowing peace, peace, perfect peace. Namaste. Thank you so much. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful day. Felt good today. Yeah. A little slower, a little longer, a little deeper. It's okay. And my hope is that you never have to rush somewhere right from yoga class, you know? So, mwah. And to everyone who did the recording, I know there was probably about 8 of you today and only 3 of you present. So, love to all of you too at home. And I can't wait to see you next week, Marissa.
Thank you.
I'll call you because I want to see what I can bring. And I love that your African necklace is on the wall. I have mine hanging in my
Yeah.
office too.
Oh my
Yep.
God,
I
right?
recognize it. It's
Oh, so
gorgeous.
good. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you soon.
Yep.